You. And you need to have that.
I don't know about that, so.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Very good.
Rose is fine.
Rose is fine, nice and
Yes, 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 exactly.
I disagree.
Yeah. Have Cindy, she's got all the answers.
I'm too.
They might be wrong, but she has all the answers.
I don't know, I just
Outside of uniform. Yeah, I probably know where. And I handled the question myself from back behind. Yeah, throw a little bit of dirt on it. Yeah.
On that, well.
Yes. They did?
Now it's like, you know, kind of sideways, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't say much documentation, right?
Okay.
Register my speed at.
Oh, so it's working, but it's just not facing the right way. Yeah, somebody said something about that, I think, just a day or so ago. And, so it will.
But I don't think it's my back is. I noticed it.
Well, I'm getting a hint, they're trying to push it off onto us, and it was supposed to, at some point, I was hearing that we were supposed to take that over, it's like, send us the instructions on the thing, I have no idea what. Well, that's just it, it's some kind of angry thing, and we'll have to go look to see what it's all involved, but. Yep, I know. Go on the note. Yeah, we're gonna start something tomorrow.
Yeah, it's in progress.
It does not, license plates or anything for like car count. It's everything, and you can get a readout off of what's in the grass. So, cars are going with me.
I know when they did the viaduct down here, Landfill, we had one set up down there by the airback bank.
Yep.
It was behind some guy that was going 57.
Yep, we had a 50 something on Church, we had a 77 on Southfield.
No.
And we got a 90 something on Weapons River. That's been on the last year, so I just.
And I know. Right there.
Oh, I
It's gonna continue to have this power in their command. They don't.
Yep. Unfortunately, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was the coolest thing was Lynn stopped that somebody down in South. I know it caused that one guy over.
Okay.
They just did it. Yeah.
Us.
Yes. They have the right papers.
Well, six, they were, a couple more. Six. Yeah, they had like three of them in here. Somebody saw them three. Scattered around. Yeah. Yeah, they were all. It's in town.
Like I was telling Mike, some guy that's got a little black car, I don't know what brand it is. It's a four-door. He got some pipe on that thing that was 18 gallons back to 6.
Football move.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's just got some tumblers on it or replacing it or whatever. It's and he loves turning around and straight.
Yeah, right for you.
Which I probably did back in the 60s as well.
Sure.
It's 6 o'clock, so I'm calling this meeting to order. Good evening and welcome everyone, both in person and phone in. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on the city's YouTube channel. This is a special meeting, so special meeting agendas do not include at the end a citizen's not on the agenda topic, but limited questions or comments relating to the agenda topic being discussed may be allowed. For those who are attending in person and wish to speak at that time, please come to the podium and state your name and wait to be recognized by the mayor. We normally have a 7-minute time limit. We're gonna look and see how many people want to talk tonight. I'm pretty comfortable with that 7 minutes so far. And if you are phoning in, please mute your phone so that we don't get feedback throughout the course of the meeting. Thank you. And above all, whomever is speaking, please show courtesy and respect at all times. Thank you. Next, I need a roll call, please. Cindy Anderson here.
Mike here.
Dan Wozniak.
Yeah, Molly. Councilmember Wainwright, absent. Next, I need approval of the agenda, which consists of one item.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, please?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 5, which is discussion of traffic concerns and related data center topics. And here's how we're going to proceed on this particular topic. First, I'm going to provide a brief introduction of the topic and reference any exhibits that are in the council's information packet, which all of this is available online to anyone. Next, a representative from Layton Construction is going to provide an update. Then the council will discuss the topic uninterrupted. And after they have completed that conversation, then public comments will be allowed. And depending on how many people we have, it'll be 3 to 7 minutes for everyone. Please try to stay on point and avoid repetition. Response to any of the public comments, if we have a lot of people speaking, council may wait till everybody's spoken before they respond. But if there's just a couple, we might see some interaction along the way. So thank you for everybody for taking that into consideration. And I will start off with just a brief introduction of the topic as to why we are here today. We have been experiencing for several months now some extreme traffic concerns and affecting primarily 2 of our intersections. But on a secondary note, all of our intersections in Fairfax. In the exhibits in the packet, council, you will see the first intersection, which is right outside our door here, the intersection of 80th Street and Highway 151. And then also the intersection of 76th Avenue and Leffertsville Road. And there's also an exhibit in there that is expanded a little bit down by the intersection of 76th and Leffertsville Road to show some of the additional streets that are being impacted by the traffic. Also, you'll see a map in there that indicates, where we're proposing to put some special signage and, our Public Works Director, Brian Murda, is going to speak to that. And Brian's also included, a couple of cost, estimates, and one is an actual, bill for some of the things, expenses that we're incurring. So that's just a very brief introduction of the topic. Next, I would like to introduce Scott Langley, who is representing Layton Construction. Scott, could you come to the podium and share some information with us, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Council. My name is Scott Lively. I'm with Layton Construction, with the Nance Construction.
The volume, no, down on that. You turn it up just a little bit.
All right. I can't even work my phone. All right. How's that? Is that
A little
better?
bit better, yeah.
Is that better? Okay, it's good. Closer here.
Something kind of talking.
Right in there? Okay. All right.
Much
I'm getting pictures with it. All right.
There we go.
Anyway, so again, my name is Scott Ladd. I'm with Layton Lights Construction. And work for QTS, and unfortunately, they couldn't be here tonight, given short notice, so. If there are questions with related to that, I'm gonna defer those to later commentary, what we gathered from tonight's overall comments, so we'll go from that. Again, a pleasure. So typically what I've been tasked with is one, and I think what we're talking about here is the traffic control that we're having issues with in and around your community. Early on in this project, we worked with the city for specific needs and to make sure that we were addressing some road conditions and things of that nature. And one of them, which I feel is kind of contributing extensively to the inner city traffic that you're seeing right now, is the resurfacing of the 76 through Williams Boulevard section. That was our primary area or primary drive for our employees to come off 151 and come up the back road. Back then it was a gravel road. We chip sealed it and now we're asphalting is what we're doing. But that was our primary route. That got shut down. And then that forced folks to kind of balloon out into the community, and unfortunately in an uncontrolled manner. That said, we did have road closed signs, things of that nature in and around the area. We didn't really want to shut down that access coming into this town, from basically an overall shutdown, just so that the community itself that worked and lived in this area could actually have access in and out throughout the southern section of town. Doing that, one of the things that we found is that Google Maps is a great thing to get you to where you want to go, especially when you don't know where you're going, right? And so without having complete shutdown, that was a trigger that allowed Google Maps to take the path of least resistance, and some of that access happened to be through the community here as well. Now, is that the only reason that folks are driving through this town? No, we spent a lot of time, folks going to lunch in town here, visiting some of the amenities that the community offers, and as well as residents that work out there as well. So again, that's some of the traffic that we're seeing that we would typically see. Again, what's not typical is that we basically shut down the main artery that our staff was committed to early on. The purpose of our road closure signs was to drive all of that traffic south on Leffertville Road, to Wright Brothers Boulevard, and then disperse either east or west on Wright Brothers into either 151 or out towards the airport as well. Unfortunately, again, that didn't happen, and that's the position we're at. As it stands for this artery, what we're looking is within the next 2 weeks. This is originally a 5-week scheduled project. We have a great team out there actually committed to getting this job done. We will come in and with weather permitting, have this 76 open as soon as this Saturday, if not early next week is what it will be. So we will start seeing some of that traffic push back to its normal route. And then in collaboration with the city, the signage, the postings of that, and then the enforcement of that is being communicated right now that the directive is to take all of the business traffic for the construction site and keep it out of town as much as possible. Again, not taking away from the businesses that are in town and prohibiting them from visiting your fine town, but also minimizing the routing to and fro. That's next. Any questions?
Just questions, you said you didn't want to shut it down the road. Like,
Leperville, so at the corner of 76 and Leperville, one of the options that we had was to actually put barriers across the road and completely isolate that and force the traffic to the south down Leperville. That was a decision that we attempted and wasn't favorable. And therefore, and I say favorable is that when we were asked to remove it,
who gave authority to attempt to close the road?
there was no authority to close the road. It was a decision that was being discussed at the time.
And who would have to prove that?
That would be the city here.
Did anyone come to the city?
I talked directly to the city with regards to that option. And at that point, it wasn't deemed that we needed to go down that path.
It was actually in place for about 5 minutes, I guess.
Yeah, and that was under the interpretation to get things ready, because that was the direction that a few of the council, or not council, but a few of the members had thought would be the best option.
But you just said it.
We removed it immediately.
No, I'm saying at direction of the council.
No,
Back up, city administration. Go ahead.
There was conversation and about whether or not that was the best route to take. And Brian and I talked about it, and he was gonna contact some of the local businesses along that route, but in the meantime.
In preparation for that,
Yes.
it was taken on. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that something or not something that the council would decide?
We didn't make any decisions. Brian and I
We
were
were
just talking.
looking for information. First, we were reaching out to find out how much trouble it was gonna be for Trevero to reroute their trucks to a different route. And met with, it's not, it can be done, but it's not gonna be real easy. And, before we got a chance to go to Bushman's, it was temporarily closed. And the short time that happened, there was a lot of phone calls made or visits to City Hall, wanting to know what was going on. And they're like, oh, wait a minute, we don't know yet.
So obviously with the construction going on, this isn't the most ideal path. And this probably warranted, like, this meeting here is really for, you know, outside of a council meeting, we don't talk, we don't have these conversations. In lieu of having a 4.5 hour meeting, we're all gonna pass out and having conversation. Yeah, you're laughing, you know.
I know.
So that's kind of what
You're right.
this conversation really is about. I'm curious, so when we're talking about construction on, or, you know, reopening up 76 Williams, the ideal path was being used before. Sorry, I guess I lost my train of thought when I was saying, the purpose why we're getting here today is really just the traffic going through on Church Street that is 2 different times of the day, bumper to bumper for 2 hours. And, you know, people can't get out of their homes, et cetera, you know, that's, I'm assuming why a lot of people are here, they want to hear. So let's say that new path opens up in, you said a couple of weeks, I've seen something said 10 days, that's roughly a couple of weeks. Saturday, thank you.
Potentially.
Did you say Saturday?
Yeah.
Or
At
next week?
so again, it depends on.
So what plans are in place to make sure that the traffic takes that original route?
Well, and that's a great question. We, as the company, are looking to this meeting here to help look for whatever it is the city is looking to do to help us with that. From a business standpoint, from a construction standpoint, our team, all the executives have ordered a stand down amongst all the trades. And this is going to be communicated, but they are not to, and I believe I presented council or not council, but the mayor. The email that was sent to everybody on the trades at both east and west campus sites. That said, that stand down will include a order that no one is to deviate from that traditional path that we'd had from the beginning of the project. And if so, it is warranted by the community, by the city to advocate any type of enforcement of that, whether it be through fines, tickets or whatnot, in order to be able to justify, let's put it point blank. The message doesn't get made clear until there's actually monetary value associated with it. We can speak to the blue in the face, but if somebody is deviating from a do not enter or do not cross, or they're speeding through town, that is simply a law enforcement issue that we advocate for as our construction.
So there was a road closed sign that was up. For, that was 5 minutes. That was up for,
which road? Which road?
Are you talking about left of your north of town?
Yes.
By Rivera and stuff?
yes.
Yes, so the road closed, well, it started out.
Closed it through traffic.
Closed it through traffic, and then I had a detour sign so that everybody that was supposed to be coming from Wright Brothers come back north on Lefevere to get to 76th. And then it said roads closed 500 feet ahead, road closed to through traffic, and detour to the right to go back on 76 east to the campus. It was there in the afternoons, it was there in the morning. And even today, it's 90% are going around that sign.
Yeah, I've seen it, I've also seen enough of the videos, so.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward 2 weeks and we say, go the original route. And we'll enforce it, you're gonna send out your memo that says this is what we're doing. Why didn't we do that? As in late QTS, why didn't we do that weeks ago?
We did on several occasions. Like I said, is that we have, we'll start off every day we have a stretch and flex meeting, and it talks of safety in that stretch and flex. And so every week we do reinforce with all the trades that are in these meetings, several hundreds if not thousands in these meetings, each one of them, we reinforce not going through this town. Do not be going through the town mannerisms of people. Stick to the detour signs, the way that they're supposed to be read and dealt with. That said, that has been deviated. Our attempts again to work with the city to try to get that closure. It simply would have been to force those folks in the right direction. And that's what we asked. We also reached out to the CRPD, we reached out to the Sheriff's Department. We reached out to the state troopers, what can be done? And the message that was returned is if they're not breaking the law, there's not much that can be done.
Right, I get that, I know that, you know, a lot of cars going through on the left of your church. They're not speeding, some are going through stop signs, they're going around signs they shouldn't be. But I guess just put yourself in our shoes. And you know, if I were coming to you and saying, when this road opens up, it's gonna go back to the way it was. But if we already had a detour in place where we're supposed to take Wright Brothers Boulevard, they're not following it. Clearly, there was no teeth in what was sent out. How is that gonna be enforced going forward then? Or are we still gonna see a lot of cars traveling through roads that they shouldn't be on?
Yeah, I honestly can't give you a firm answer other than the fact that I'm sure that there will be some folks that will continue to come through town for whatever reasons. In fact, there are citizens that work out at the job site that live here. And so it's kind of hard to deviate. I mean, we've had recommendations, can we put stickers on these vehicles to identify construction workers? How do we go about it? And that's really a question I don't have an answer for. And hence what we're hoping that at the end of this meeting, we have options that we can, and I say we, QTS, Layton and Whites, can help commit to help resolve some of these issues that we're dealing with our staff. We have up to the ability to have some very serious consequences from an employment standpoint with folks if they're habitual to that standpoint, and we will advocate enforcing that. And that's where I can say I can stop. Can I put a ticket booth out there at the corner? The answer is no, I can't. But we are committed to work with the city as to whatever that dissolve might be. And if that includes having, fortunately, like I said, with the deputies and the sheriff's department along with, I would say, we will need their help.
What staffing and resources would you commit to completely shutting down westbound 76 in the afternoon shift, forcing them along Tissot Hollow and Maple Grove Road to Wright Brothers?
Well, again, that turns into a county type. So I don't have any answers to that, and I don't know as if that immediate level.
So you have flaggers at the intersection of Wright Brothers, Tissot Hollow, Wright Brothers, Maple Grove. What's this out, setting up flaggers or staffing along that intersection, for example, 76 and Maple Grove?
Yeah, I would say, we have flaggers already in place in those areas on those side roads. We are working with Lynn County to maintain those roads so that they're safe for the travel up and down. Shutting the road down, I think, was clearly demonstrated very tough to do. With 76 and Liverpool, and the fact that we've had near misses, actually brushes with vehicles with flaggers that were placed out there. Hence why we took them off there, because it was a safety issue with folks not obeying the actual laws of the road, so to speak.
Sorry. So with, safety to the flaggers, and all that, obviously everyone's safety all across the board is important, so not disagreeing with the decision. Remove that obstacle from the situation, but what was the outcome internally? Not with any individual, I'm just saying as far as messaging, because of that, rather than completely separating from that solution. Was there communication that went to say, hey, this event happened? If we see things like this again, it could be termination.
That I believe is clear in the email that was sent this afternoon with regards to what the potential risks are to a person.
I received the email from Scott late this afternoon, so I didn't have an opportunity to share it with council, but I will after.
Right, and that was sent when, not to the mayor, I'm just saying, when was that sent internally?
Internally, that was sent, it was been sent sometime. We've had this message. We text every employee that works for us out there. They have that, and that message has been going out on a regular basis.
You know, off the top of your head, how many employees do you have working at that site, east west?
I would say, and I can speak specifically to West Campus, because that's my campus there. That there, we average on a daily basis right about 4,300.
That's in the 24 hour.
That's in the 24-hour period, yes, and we're on that back hill side of it because we're starting to come on the overall construction.
And do you you mentioned with that, so that's your campus, would that number be comparable to the other side too? So we're looking at 9,000 potential people.
Yeah, that number does, and again, this is a bell,
It goes up and down.
type thing, so it really depends on what's transpiring within the campuses, and I don't have an actual number for each campus, I'm not privy to that information. But it would be somewhat complicated.
And you have a timeline on the downflow of, how soon are you gonna be done with that portion and then those numbers will go down because you don't need as many workers?
Great question. So what we're looking at is as it stands right now, we're looking at early spring of 2027 for West Campus. And that should be part of this will all be part of our exit strategy, and we'll start seeing this. So we're a little ways off yet, but within the next year, you should see dramatic decreases in the amount of flow from this side of that project.
One of the concerns that I have with the the traffic issue, and the reality is that we can't stop it. Because we have people who live here who have to go out to our town. My concern is, regardless of whether that was shut down for 2 days, a week, people have now learned that they can go through a shorter way, a better way. Maybe they'll stop it, you know, the Star, or come over and get some ice cream, I don't know. What kind of plan or offer do you, as QTS, like whichever, our roads are gonna get messed up, and in Old Fairfax, we don't have, they're not concrete roads, they're not asphalt roads. Or the chip seal roads in there, that amount of traffic, even if you have just 500 cars that come through every day and at least twice a day, our roads are gonna get. And I know that you guys have already worked on 76 near your location, and you're working on the 76 to get that upgraded. I'm just curious, have there been any conversation of, hey, we know this is really awful and we may not be able to stop it. How can we help the community? Should, you know, are we expected to foot the bill that our roads get damaged and destroyed because of this project? That's bottom line, my question.
And those are all valid questions, and I think early on, in the answer to some of the council that was here, that there were some agreements that were made. I cannot speak to what those fully were with QTS, but I can tell you in the conversations that I have with QTS, Layton and White, we're all committed to doing what's right by the city of Fairfax. We're committed to what it is that you struggle with, to be able to be a good community member. And I say that good community member because what's being built there will be here for generations. And so that relationship's important to us as it is to you. And so that's where we're trying to foster that and do that so early on. That said, again, there were early on agreements to address some of your concerns there. What I would not be in favor to comment on that. That's more.
I would just encourage you, I know that there were agreements early on, and I know that they were mostly focused on 76th Avenue, because that was gonna be a main thoroughfare, Lambertier, those roads. We're now in a completely different situation. And we have a new reality to deal with, so I would hope that you would take some of these concerns back to QTS and fully latent and say, how can we help? Because this is not what we set out. We didn't realize this might happen early on.
And I got you, Mr. Reilly, that's why I'm here tonight, is to enlist your input, a focused as to what it is the concerns are, so that we can work together from the Layton, Whites, and QTS standpoint and the city standpoint as to what would be beneficial or how if we can help at all. And that's being said, it just determines on really what the reality is. I can point out some really great things that QTS has already sponsored. For instance, it's a little over $1.5 million project over here for the 76 Williams transition there. That's paid for by QTS. That's 100% funded by this project. And so was the chip seal before that and road maintenance before that. All the gravel roads were in talks with Lynn County as it stands right now to address, the deterioration of some of those as well. Cherry Valley is another road that was done all at the expense of this project. And again, driven by QTS and the willingness to work with the community, the cities, the counties, etc., to help that flourish, I guess, or to remedy some of those issues. Are they done now? No, I don't believe we are. I don't believe we are.
I needed to know.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a stopgap. I don't want some agreement that was made for, I came here to be I want there to be continuing conversations because the landscape changes constantly.
And that's a two-way street, right? It's both communicating back and forth and having some dialogue in which I've been privy to with the mayor on a constant level you know, it's always the avenue to flow through it, and we work with QTS as well. The other thing we want to point out is that we're focused on just what QTS is, doing, right? We definitely gotta look at also the others. These conversations have to be held with the Google sites, they have to be held with the Nordstroms, they have to be held with the airport, they have to be held with all of those others, you know, Amana. All of those have to have part of this as well in these conversations, because we feel we're not the only ones contributing to the city's concerns as well. So we want to make sure that we do that. But like I said, I want to point out one thing, if there's going to be a shining star, it's going to be the QTS, the rights relationship.
Patrick, you mentioned again, you referred to Google and a couple of other entities. Are they data center entities or just general business entities?
General business entities. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, obviously you can see the growth up and down on 965. I mean, those are people that live here as well. You know, they need a path to go. You have the Prairie School District and the kids traveling up and down that way. And we work with Prairie to try to make sure that they understand the congestion, the volume, especially with bus services and some of the risks that come being, you know, confined to those avenues of travel. So again, there's a lot of contributing factors to this. I'm not going to take away from the fact that we saw a loss of employment here in just under a year, which is extraordinary, right? It's not what anybody could ever fathom, not even myself, coming to a project of this scale. Could I see it on paper? Yeah, so I understand what it meant, not telling me.
Yeah, the focus so far has been on the intersection of 76 and Methodier. Internally, have you had any discussions on the impact of this intersection right here, Highway 151 and Aiken?
Well, I would say that until today's communication, we weren't really privy to the concerns on this side of the road. I mean, I should say on this side of the city. We knew that there was additional traffic, but having an understanding of what it is, the impact is to the immediate city. We were listening to what impact was more to the south of Fairfax rather than what was happening out of the north. Again, that's the dialogue that I hope that we can flourish, you know, and helping understand holistically what issues are in the city town.
So I guess as far as, you know, understanding. I think what brought this on was the system shock of having. Not all of them, but, you know, 4,300 employees. Traveling through a small town.
That's double our size.
Yes. Yeah.
Is quite a big move, so. Once they pass through. Whichever way they take, once they pass through and get to 151, where do you think they're going?
I would say anywhere that there's housing. And I say that, yes, they come right through town. I agree.
So. 151. In the last year. Has become. Unbearably, almost impossible to navigate. So I live across. I would have never made this meeting, I'd probably still be living there. I have to turn. Flip in Casey's, come back. So that's what the increased traffic has done. You know, there's some other people I can see here knowing about where they live, same thing. This intersection, you know, now the intersection of Church 151, they're horrible, absolutely horrible to navigate. And I'm just waiting to speak up. I like more him. Just the amount of traffic. I mean, you have a bunch of cars traveling, I don't know, 4,300 maybe. Traveling 151 going up 80th, again, all intersections and roads that weren't designed to handle that traffic. And I think when you rewind a couple of years ago when this project first came, and then just for, I know you know this, I'm just speaking to people in the crowd, just keep in mind, the laydown lot is in Fairfax, UTS, actual data centers are in Cedar Rapids. So, to, you know, come back to the pain that we're seeing is, you know, we're seeing a lot of the negatives, we're not seeing a lot of the eventual positives. We have major concerns of the roads, we have other concerns too that we have to talk about, but. I guess I'm a little surprised when you say that there wasn't any consideration for any of the other roads. Again, rewind 2 years ago, the amount of traffic that we believe this to be, because at first it was one data center, then it turned into, what, 7 for QPS. And Google, don't know if they're all taking Edgewood, but there's 6 of those. The volume was misrepresented. So we're caught very off guard. And it did seem almost overnight. We'll say roughly 6 months, a year ago, it just snapped. And then there was just chains of cars. So little concerning that UTS late hasn't thought of 151.
Well, and I'll just speak to it, but that's what we're hoping to get to. Like, that's where we're at right now. We're here to try to help them figure out the solution, right? There is a solution to every problem. And what that looks like is it's yet to be determined. And we're hopeful that that's what, again, I've said this time, is that the outcome of this meeting has some potential solutions. What those are, again, that's gonna be the collaboration, what the city here, you know, looks to help for. And if we can provide that, I know QTS is all ears, I know Lake Lights is all ears. And we again want to work towards helping remedy this. As where you're seeing the increase in traffic is we are at the top of our bell curve. And as that begins to slide down, so you'll see the amount of traffic coming through town. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. So again, you know, decisions to right now, till we open up this artery, might change what your thoughts are as to what you need for traffic control in and around your town as well. So those are some things that I just asked that when we talk about this, we talk about a holistic approach, you know, as far as what it is that's needed, what it is that you see as achievable. And again, when we get back into the flow of things, that might help us kind of see clear as to what it is. And then we can provide projections as far as.
I don't know if you guys can hear me or not.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, so, I mean, just kind of to that point, like, part of this is
Excuse
okay,
us.
but 76
Can you identify yourself?
help alleviate some of these problems, but every
Excuse me?
time we do that, every time we do something to try to help, it's gonna cause a little bit of stress somewhere else. Like, Cedar Rapids is asking us to widen the intersection at 76 and Edgewood.
Hey, who's talking?
Can you identify yourself, please? We're all in a room and we're staring at a little box.
That's Nathan Cott, Senior Project Manager with like me and Scott work together.
Okay.
Thank you.
So anytime we do that, it's gonna cause some issues with traffic, right? And so we're just trying to get to the best solution and trying to reroute people and still keep the commerce in your city going. So that, you know, I'm sure if you talk to some of the people, some of your business owners, they've seen a large jump in revenue in the last year. And I think that we're all trying to make it right and do the best we can. But anytime we make any adjustments to roads at this point, it's probably going to squeeze somewhere else. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much. I do want to make it clear, you made a comment about decisions coming out of this meeting. This is a work session. We cannot make any motions or take any votes. But we do have a council meeting next week that potentially things that we discuss about here, we put on that. So
And
our window's a little short, so we might have, some more.
and again, I may have used.
I just want to make that clear to the room.
But some of the outcome tonight, again, we're hopeful to find what those solutions, that are presented. What you determine as priorities and how we can go about working together. I think that's really what we're hopeful for outside of the outcome of this meeting is to be able to get to those talking points. Right now, we have a lot of shoot from the hip, and it's not from the city per se, but it's from general public. And what is the best solution? And I think if we look progressively, we can look at not only what we need for today, but no pun intended, but
Yeah, we recognize that we need a short-term plan and a long-term plan to assist us with that. Can you describe how many shifts and what times of day they are currently and when you might project that would change?
so we predominantly have two shifts, right? We're 24/7, because 24/6 is what we try to stick to. The weekends, we go minimal staffing. And I say minimal scale of 4,000 to maybe 1,000, right? But the reality on that is that, we are, staggering our entry times and our exit times, amongst those crews. It was reinforced, in conversations again today, and my presence here is that we're going back to the table, not from just an East Campus or West Campus perspective, but an East Campus perspective. And we are going to start looking at again more how extensively can we push those staggered times throughout town. So it's not all of the staff leaving at the same time.
So I think just to go through some things, there's like areas that we have to discuss, just pick on the traffic and Old Fairfax, what's, I guess for.
Is this for questions for Scott still or?
No, sorry, well, maybe.
Are we done? Well, maybe he said.
I don't think.
I don't know who knows
You
what.
need to continue to stand up there. I think that you presented your position. As far as I can tell, I don't know if anybody else has any questions. The questions I had, you have answered the volume of people and that kind of thing, and now I'm different things that want to go. So if you stick around, great. If not, we'll get you information later.
I do have one thing for Scott. I understand it's a unfavorable position to be in, and I know you guys aren't totalitarians. You can't control what your workforce does outside of working hours and how they get to work and how they leave work. And I'll be honest, I appreciate the sentiment of possibly, up to termination employees that go through town when they're being told not to, but reality is heck, workforce would be unemployed. You wouldn't be building anything if you did that. I think if there's something you can control, and I know you can't commit to anything, especially tonight, but with the wear and tear on Lynch Street, Church Street, Lefevre from 76 to Church, Vanderbilt from Linden to Church, I think there needs to be serious consideration or talks about the participation of some kind in helping resurfacing those and repairing those long term.
And again, 2 points. I can't commit to anything at this point, but I can say that those would be valid conversations that we look to. It's like look to down the road, to be able to address potentially those concerns. But again, like I said, until we get to those discussion points and priorities, that's what we're hopeful.
Scott, I have additional question. Has there been any consideration for finding a suitable land or farm field away from the highway where employees could park and then have a bus transport large groups to the campus?
We actually do that. We have several buses. I offhand, I don't know how many, but I can tell you, we do have off-campus parking. I believe there's some along 65 down to 33rd, those areas outside of, or in the Cedar Rapids area, I should say, that we are busing continuously. We have utilized our East Campus parking because it's a lot larger than what ours is. And we bus folks from that direction as well. And that's again, that's all part of the shift work that comes in. Those buses run round the clock. And I would say there's probably at least 24 of them that are on a constant rotation, so.
Council, any other questions that Scott can help us with before you continue your discussions? Thank you, Scott. Yes, sir.
So in theory, your management and your vendors should not have allowed church to go up that.
That was the whole purpose of discussion, yeah,
So
so,
all the White's trucks, all the Lake trucks, all of the CBC logistic trucks, Dual, Tessier, Purge Drive, absolutely none of those.
well, I'm gonna say other than none, because we do have several employees from Fairfax that work for those companies that you described. So, and they're given a truck to go back and forth to work, so, or a vehicle, I should say, that's usually labeled company logo. That said, it's a fraction of what you're seeing today, so I agree, it's overwhelming, but with respects to that. The purpose and the primary focus was that nobody that worked for our construction site was supposed to come down Munfordville into town. They were to go out south of Munfordville, come around Wright Brothers 51 and then enter town through that house. And if they lived here, however they got to that. And again, some of those avenues were kind of impeded, we see that with Southview. We had asphalt going across that road, so we had to shut that down for a day or so, just to finish that work out. But that was the only inhibitor from coming back into town that we know in this area.
All right, thank you, Scott, and the council's now going to continue their discussion. If you stick around, need anything from the welcome to do.
Mayor, council, thank you for the opportunity to speak the way, and again, we look forward to really working with you, what's what the fence finds. So. Thank you.
Council?
I like
place.
to hear some. Brian, what? I need a picture in my head where. We can suggest. What?
But if you speak up just so much.
Sorry, I.
Wants to hear what
And
Brian's
I had-
suggestions
I
are.
talk Very loud. Because I talk very softly, I'm sorry. Yes, I need to get a picture. Living in Old Fairfax, I know that it has been. It's been great for me because I get out of my driveway now. It sucks for everybody else because they can't get out of it. So I guess I wanted you to just start, what have you been observing, what have you been doing? Tell me.
Well, when they started the project, we were to follow right behind them. We had a culvert that needed to be replaced. And, as they did also a little bit further down the road. And so as soon as they were starting the project, they put up signs to close down. I know they sent out the messages, because I have several people I know that are working out there and I asked them. And they're like, yes, we got the messages. We know what's going on there. Pay attention to the area anyway, but yes, we did get the messages and whatnot. And, after the fact, I'm finding out from some of the friends that, yeah, so we have coworkers that are so tired of the messages that they have blocked the number that they get the messages on. So they're not getting messages. Or a lot of the responses were, I live in the area, I work in the area, I pay taxes, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And that's the responses that are getting. So my opinion is that the root cause is the employees of what's transpiring. They don't care, they don't understand, I don't know what it is, but something to that effect after what I found out through that mode of investigating. We started on the project, we needed to close off Southview completely. We thought that was the best idea, everybody on Southview could get out and away and not be part of the hodgepodge of the construction area and not have to worry about that. Everybody that found out they could not go down 76, started coming down Southview to find out that they couldn't get through. And we had signs all the way across the road. Well, then we're getting phone calls 15 minutes after we leave. Well, somebody just moved all your signs. They're driving around. They're doing this. They're driving through the ditch. So in our working of this site, we decided we're just gonna start parking equipment across everything, so you cannot drive across it. And it took us 4 pieces of equipment to run across the road to get it, so somebody would not drive around it. And that was because they had to drive all the way out the field to get around, so they were still doing it. Finally, we got that taken care of, and then, of course, then that forced everybody to go to town. So then they started going into town, and it's just. So we were trying to do what we could, different ways of different things, and it didn't really matter. There's one guy come up to the thing, it was a local company. Guy drives all the way up to where we were working and says, hey, I'm trying to get to Keystone. Google's telling me to go this way. How do I get around? So just like you said, everybody's following Google, and unless there's a way you can tell them what to do on Google, that's where the majority of the problem is. So I got it squared away, told him where to go, it was fine, no big deal. He had to go through town to do it, but it was just one. So, but yes, we finally got him to stop over there, so there's hardly anybody going up and down Southview because we finally got him stopped, but it took, I don't know, a week to finally get him to stop. And it's been for 2 weeks, day, night, sleep, whatever, trying to come up with ideas on how to go about doing it. I don't think there's no real good way to stop it. You're just hurting your local people and businesses by trying to do anything to impede traffic. So that's why we reached out to Trevero. How hard is it to stop your trucks? Well, it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult. Now that we got them squared away on the way you guys wanted them to come. Yeah, but that's what I figured, but I just thought I'd check. And then we were gonna reach out to Bushman because it's the same thing. They need to go around town to get there, and we didn't get that far. They were up here, you know, asking what's going on because the road was temporarily closed. So I figured that was gonna be the case there too. So it was like, well, let's not close any roads. Let's go back to, I don't know what we can do, just keep putting signs up. And then we decided to kind of spread the signs back out on Southview, and once we were done, the paving crew said, that's fine, we'll deal with it. That's okay if they come through. It's all gonna interfere a little bit. So we opened the signs back up and let them take control of what they wanted to do. And I don't know if it's any better, but.
So you're thinking the current projection of when that project will be complete and open up to traffic is possibly as early as this Saturday?
If
Or
not the
maybe
first
it'll be-
part of the week, yeah, that's
Maybe.
my understanding was that it could be as late as Friday, but. I think they're even further ahead of where we last talked on the schedule, so he's probably right, because he's probably the most up to date. But yeah, they got one more layer of asphalt, 1 day to paint, and I think 2 days to grade. It's over. Whatever that looks like, I don't know. We're talking rain on Friday, so that might not be real favorable, but.
Brian, you mentioned telling Google what to do.
This is Nathan again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, need to walk on somebody. I know that Scott did talk to them about potentially opening the road in the mornings and the afternoons before we get all the way done. It might take them a little longer to get the grading done, but it would, at least allow that morning and afternoon traffic to go down that road instead of Freetown.
I'm sure that doesn't matter to us. It's just what you guys need for getting stuff done safely.
So Brian, you mentioned who tells Google what to do. Scott, a conversation earlier this afternoon indicated that there is a way, if you know who to talk to.
Yeah, Scott had reached, or we had a conversation earlier today. He was gonna look up, and I haven't checked my email, but he had a link or something that was possibility that we can get into Google, and customize what's open and what's closed in the area. If that's a route we choose to go, I'm sure if you put Google's closed, and that can interfere with the businesses and whatever coming into town, but he was looking into it, and hopefully he'll. You're gonna need to mute your phone. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So could we put? If we figure out how to do this, we could tell Google that Church Street is closed?
You could, but then, any deliveries that go to the waterworks, engineered components, anybody downtown, they're gonna have to go another way, which would force them over the tracks, and I don't think we
Well, they
want to
wouldn't
do
have
that.
to. They-
Well, if they can talk to them and let them know, that's fine, but if the drivers, which a lot of times that gets disconnected between them, they'll go by Google. And then they'll find out the hard way, they shouldn't have went that way. That's my only concern with doing that. So, one of our thoughts were to basically, there's not a lot we can physically do right now. We went ahead and had Advanced Traffic make us some no data center traffic signs. And we're gonna try and put those up on the map, I hope you saw, in locations to help deter that. But I don't know what else we can do.
The fourth one down. So she's gonna try to bring that up, yeah.
Yeah, where the red circles are, they're not directed on the highway, they're gonna be directed to the city street, so like if you look to turn on Prairie and Church. And Southview on the south side of Stutzman's. That would be the main ones, and then. Once they get on Williams Boulevard, have another one on Southview at each end, so that they're not going through the neighborhood area. And then 2 on Lefferbeer. One to start from next 76, and one is a kind of next block reminder. To not go that way.
Then I saw one up already at church and.
Lake put one up because we had a post that we didn't have to pound in the ground with a locate, so he put one up.
So putting those up, will that assist the sheriff or the police or whomever to say you are not doing what we're telling you to do, and they can ticket them then?
Possibly,
That would be something that would help deter.
I'm hoping so. They were out a few mornings.
That would be something, if that's gonna help. Wow, it only take a few people getting some tickets that would maybe help with that.
I heard from some of the guys one morning, there was 3 deputies in town, all at the same time, had somebody pulled over. We don't know how many tickets they gave, but they all 3, yes. So, yeah, I don't know, and, you know, from what I've heard, from who I've talked to, that people out there, when they start talking amongst themselves. The word travels fast, so you start pulling over a whole bunch of people in town, and we're not gonna go through town.
Yes.
So what we need to do to get sheriff or
I think
state
that's-
police or somebody to help.
A first step, yeah.
Well, we've already multiple times requested that the Lynn County Sheriff's Department. Focus their patrol in that part of Fairfax during these shift changes. And that, I think what Brian commented on issuing tickets one morning. Also, I received an unexpected call from the state patrol this week indicating they had been hearing about our circumstance. They would like to help. And so we talked about it a little bit. And normally they're on state highways, of course, and so we talked about this intersection. And it was like an hour later, I heard from a resident that they were issuing tickets in town immediately. So that was promising.
So with that, because obviously with the sheriff, the concern is if they're sitting, because they always say they don't have extra hours to give, that if they're sitting there, that it's taking away from some of our hours. Is there conversation, have you had conversations that this is outside of their hours? Or I guess if you're saying the highway patrol, I mean, as long as sheriff doesn't care, I mean, is it something that they're just getting money for the tickets they're issuing, doesn't actually cost us any money?
State patrol, that's correct.
Right, but I'm saying if the sheriff,
Well, the sheriff, that would be part of their patrol hours. And we requested, at least a year ago, if they could, provide additional, we inquire into that, and that they said their staffing was so limited. They would be hard pressed to increase even the hours that we contract with. We could try again. We already have a contract in place. So we require a contract amendment.
One thing.
Hi, this is Michelle Barnell. I live on Front Street. Can I ask a question?
Not during council discussion. You will be able to after council is done. Thank you.
The idea that, we're focusing on the sheriff and the we want people to give tickets is, they can only do that if somebody blew a stop sign or speeding, things like that. There's no way that they're gonna, and remotely, or we should, try to identify who lives here or who doesn't, or who's a worker there and who doesn't. That's not even realistically possible or feasible. But we certainly could do something to, slow it down. My hope is that once that is even remotely open, parts of it are open, and whoever gets those messages that it's being directed to, now you can go back the way you used to. Then they'll do that, and that'll alleviate some of the pressure that in town has felt. That's hope. I don't know how much faith I have in people doing that now that they know a new route. Having the sheriff stationed at certain places during certain times is great, but again, they can only do something if whoever is driving does something wrong.
So going on that, having these posted there, no data center. I know I've worked places, various places, you have a sticker that you have to put.
That's what Scott was talking about.
Yeah, so is it large enough that the police officers or whomever are gonna see that they're data people and they can't just remove it and make it look like they're normal traffic?
I think Scott addressed that. It's not something that they currently have, and the fact remains is that it sounds like there are Fairfaxians that work out there, and if they have a sticker on their car, then now they're tagged with potentially being ticketed because they happen to work at the place that they live here. And that's a conversation, maybe it is, I don't know. I'm just wondering how much teeth actually that we give the sheriff if someone's not doing anything legally wrong. Posting a sign, we all know, they either go around them, they move them. When they were doing the highway, they were literally moving the signs.
Well, all I'm saying is that putting these, no data center, I think it's an excellent start.
I
And
think,
if they
I agree with
have
that.
something on their car, it's gonna give the police officers an opportunity to stop them and say, hey, you're not supposed to be going through here. So I know where I used to work, you had to have those stickers to even go anywhere in there. And hopefully it's not something that they can remove easily. And if it is someone that lives here, they're gonna say, hey, I live here, show them their driver's license. I'm assuming they're not gonna give them a ticket for that then. But I just feel like if they have something that's big enough that they can see, we all know that there's parking tickets that you get like when you work at the University of Iowa or wherever.
What percentage of the workers are on the state?
Sorry,
Do you know what percentage of the workers are that are out of state?
I would say at least 60%.
Wow.
So there you go.
Exactly.
What Cindy's getting, the point Cindy's getting to is what legal right do we have to restrict public usage roads for them just because they're out of town?
But if it says no data traffic.
Okay, I can put up a sign that says no foreigners, it's no less legal.
Not saying that you want these solicitors at your door.
That's your private residence, that's not a public road. I agree with you 100%, I don't want any of them coming through town, period, at all. I 100% agree with you.
Trying to.
I'm just saying, to Cindy's point, what legal right do we have to restrict a public use road as long as they are not violating speed, running a stop sign, driving recklessly? Again, I'm on your side.
I just thought I heard somewhere or read somewhere that they won't do anything if it's not posted. Am I incorrect on that assumption? I thought I read that somewhere. That unless-
I'm not sure.
For them on that.
Yeah. I'm not
I
sure.
agree with the posting. I think that's potentially something that we definitely need to look into.
I agree that they're probably just like, whatever, just keep going.
You will have some of those, but again,
Yeah.
I also know there are some data center workers that are out of staters that are now living in our town. So we have that to deal with. And it's very, very frustrating. You know, I've said it lots and lots of times that it's made my life a lot more difficult because the times I need to leave for work when they were coming down the highway, it literally took me 45 minutes to get out of my driveway. And now you on Church Street are facing the same thing. And hopefully, I have to go back to the legalities of what we do. Sign, I think are a good idea. We need to figure out where can we put some more stop signs potentially to break up the traffic. You know, if you've got a stop sign on Reynolds or Park coming off of Fairfax Road, they have to stop there for a bit and then some people may have gone. Just, it's the break in the traffic. It's the concern we haven't addressed this. What about the fire station? If they're now coming down Lynn Street, turning on Vanderbilt, and they're stopping at that stop sign at Church Street, Vanderbilt, and they're backed up to Lynn Street, how does that impact the fire department? Should you get a call? Do you have to take the truck up the other side? I mean, I don't know.
Just a thought, just mentioning it. Oftentimes when there's anything going on for school activities, you'll have a police officer out there stopping the traffic, even like when there's a football game. Is that an option that can be done? Just, you know, for a half an hour, something like that?
Well, I inquired and the county sheriff's department said they did not want to be involved in traffic control. To put their officers at
Oh
risk.
my gosh.
To that point, I mean, Prairie used to do it all the time before they got around that.
Just trying to think of something.
Well,
I was in that roundabout for 20 minutes today, that's not funny.
You know, you can leave for one of those lanes, you don't
No,
have to drive.
it was all just sitting there, I wish it was national thing foods.
So, at the last council meeting, Councilmember Daley mentioned the possibility of temporary stoplight. Brian has some information limited, but some information to share
So-
with that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Southview and Williams, right?
Yeah,
What we
my
talked about?
suggestion was a temporary traffic light at Williams and Southview to try and create a break in the flow of traffic as it gets onto 151, because the DOT cannot control that intersection. They don't have a say in it.
Yes, okay, so I reached out to Chad Weisskopf from Advanced Traffic and I inquired about it. And he just got back to me today about it regarding, if, for that particular intersection, if you put up one light, you have to put up 4 lights. Cause once you control one of the sides, you have to control all 4 sides.
Because of the uniqueness of that intersection.
Well, yeah, once you take one of the strip thoroughfares that's supposed to be through and you control that, then you need to control the other side. And then the stop signs, cause nobody will know what's going on, so you need to have all 4. And, for that. Particular setup is roughly $14,500 a month.
How could you need that?
And he strongly suggested against doing that because the going southbound would back up onto the highway so fast that. The DOT will come and say no.
Well, Eric made a good point last week on, they're gonna take, much like roaches, the path of least resistance. So if we put a stoplight there, they're just gonna go through town.
Absolutely.
Just like once it opens up, they're all gonna go back up there because there are no stop signs like there are through town, and it's faster, it's 45 as opposed to 25. I still kind of was thinking it's worth a shot to see, because once it opens up, to Cindy's point, the traffic on 151 is it's one continuous nonstop.
Yeah,
So for people trying to get across 80th or getting out at Prairie or Church or Highland.
I've even seen the uptick in front of my house. They're coming up East Cemetery, going to Highland and cutting back to the car wash to go around all of it.
Yeah, I know a lot are going through New Fairfax to get up to Highland because they think they have a better chance of getting out there.
Yeah.
As opposed to 80th.
Yeah,
So on the stop sign placement, years ago when they reconstructed the viaduct, we had many more stop signs in place, right? Probably remember on Church Street specifically, we had many more stop signs,
yeah, we may have put one at Reynolds.
which creates a break.
I think we did them in Church and Lynn Street. As we put, not at the same, like if you were on Reynolds, you wouldn't put it on Church Street and Reynolds and Lynn Street as Reynolds, you would put like one of them.
Yeah,
Well, we also had a couple of the temporary speed bumps on there too.
we did on Vanderbilt, yeah.
And that's another possibility.
Which, did we ever put up temporary speed bumps on any of this?
We didn't put well, technically not temporary ones, we actually did put 2 speed bumps on Southview. And, the feedback I got from that, it turned into a drag race. So they race up to it, slow down, race to the next one, go over it, and then race to the end.
Feedback I've heard, they just race and ramp it.
Yeah, well, that could be, I mean, and some of
Close
us,
together.
there's so much traffic on it, it's starting to break down now already anyway, so. But, I mean, we can take it back off when it's time. The other ones we had were rubber mats, and they are to be screwed into the paving. And when we did that, it ruined the
They
paving.
destroyed the pavement.
It destroyed the paving underneath, and then there was a lot of maintenance with it as it was going, because it's shifting around, needed to be re-screwed down all the time. And so I'm kind of really not advocating for those.
So again, to make the speed bumps really effective, you need to put it on every single street coming through the original part of Fairfax. Otherwise, they just go to the street that doesn't have them.
Yeah. And then they go fast in between them to make up time.
The question is, do we wanna try temporary stoplight for? Add that once it's open. I don't know if it's, the more I've thought about it, the more I don't know if that's gonna solve it. Cause they're just gonna run it unless there's a police officer there. Like who think that they're not following this speed limit in town?
Yeah.
Or stop signs for Low C and Prairie, that's a mess every day with them running through that, trying to turn in front of people.
That doesn't work out.
It's always been, I mean, now it's extra bad, but what's gonna stop them from stopping them is the honest question. We're spending $14,000 on maybe,
Right.
probably not.
Especially when there's nobody sitting from the other direction.
Are they only going down Low Cedar Prairie today, or is that something that was seen?
Oh, no, they're doing it every day.
That's all the time.
If they get backed up too far on Church Street, then they're cutting down Reynolds to Railroad, over the railroad, down Low C to the stop sign, or they go to Vanderbilt and back out to, on Prairie. But yes, I witnessed one today, there was 2 cars there, and one guy sat there and didn't wanna wait any longer, so he just cut right in front of another guy to get in front of him. So,
We are dealing with lots and lots of personalities,
yes,
lots and lots of people. You know, I don't never have worked in a trade, but I can imagine that they're working, and they just wanna go wherever they're going, where they're going, I'm not really sure.
Speaking of speed limits, had some conversations on the speed limit right here by this intersection. And in order to make any change there, we do have to do a traffic study, which council at their last meeting indicated they wanted to move forward with. And, hopefully that will be agenda topic for next week, the proposal for that traffic study so that it can actually happen. And then it'll be for all intersections and, to see the possible impact and whether speed limits could be lowered.
All intersections on 151.
All intersections on.
What communication have you had with the DOT on a temporary light at this intersection?
Traffic study first, before anything can happen.
Okay, second part, what, you know, the speed cameras they have on 380? What if we put those on the temporary traffic lights?
You have to get state approval now because they changed the rules on those speed
I-
cameras.
I spoke,
I just think we make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just saying,
I spoke to DOT and they want approved.
temporary lights.
Well, temporary lights potentially not, because it's gonna back up traffic, but definitely speed cameras now.
Okay, then.
Yeah, Cedar Rapids had to remove some of theirs because they didn't meet the state specs for why they were needed.
I think definitely we need to slow down traffic coming through. It looks like, so on Lefebvre, when they're coming off Wright Brothers, they're going by Trevero and they're by Southview there. Is there a stop sign at Lefebvre and Southview? Right outside Trevero, there's not.
just on Southview, but not on Lebanon.
We can have a stop sign one direction, or we can have a main light one direction.
So you're suggesting, Cindy, that a stop sign be added on
She's trying-
Fairfax Road at that point in time?
Well, potentially, I'm just figuring out, else the stop sign has to be on Fairfax Road before they get to Lynn or Church Street, I think, but I don't know exactly where that should be. If we don't break up the traffic, we're gonna just have the same problem. And yes, they're blowing traffics, but that's what, you know, our deputies are trying to focus in certain areas. And see what can be done. Again, we're dealing with traffic that is double in our own town size, and that's including kids. So we have to do something to slow the traffic down. In my opinion, but I don't know
You're
exactly.
talking about in town, in Old
Yeah.
Fairfax. My question to you is that something worth pursuing considering the project's gonna be done in a week?
No.
And instead, focus on what we can do on 151. I get your point.
I would suggest that in the event that 176 gets open in whatever capacity it gets open. We have to monitor that to see if the traffic is actually being diverted back to where it's supposed to go.
I'll be happy to tell you.
If that's not, yeah, I know you're in the same boat I am when it gets to that section.
Yeah, but
What?
we're looking forward to it.
Right,
Well,
that's the
you are.
traffic again.
I get that. Depending on what happens, will that alleviate the stuff that's coming to town? Again, that's my hope that it does. If it doesn't, we're gonna have to visit stopping the traffic in certain places. So I'm just suggesting that we start thinking about those locations. Maybe if you guys are out and about, send your lawnmower people, tell them, hey, can you watch the traffic while you're doing this? And report back in some fashion. If we don't all work together on this, it's just not.
Hopefully we could get the Saturday or Monday, open it up and we'd know by Tuesday's meeting then.
They're gonna see real fast when it's open.
Yeah, the word will spread.
So just a question, because if we're talking about, well, we're not talking about a potential lake on, was it Southview, Williams, is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm fine with trying it,
Right.
but, you know, what's the effectiveness of it?
But if they're gonna take the path of least resistance, if we don't want them to drive through Old Fairfax, why don't we put a light, temporary light at Luffaguer South here? If they're gonna avoid the light, I'll go the way that we want to.
Can I say something?
Yes,
So just so the light, the kind of principle of the light, we have to be careful, this is that a light is a representation of when a person.
Scott, could you come up to the mic? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's. So a light, to put a traffic, you don't want to do it in just a one intersection, in a T intersection, especially a T intersection, because what then you're doing is when that light changes, that's a visual that says, okay, it's my turn to go. And if you don't have a light controlling your cross traffic, then there's, you know, it kind of creates a safety risk at that point.
That's
So
why you have.
that's why you really want to have that bold white type of directional.
right. No, good point. I wasn't suggesting it was just one side or one lane or anything. I'm just saying. If you address that intersection, not that Traveris would be thrilled with that, but. You address that intersection just to discourage a higher volume of traffic going through that way.
Trevero trucks would not, because they only have to deal with the one at 76, so that's past where they would deal with that. Would be only the,
They come in on.
yeah, they're coming off of Wright Brothers now. All the truck traffic,
Sorry.
so, yeah. Bushman's, and whoever the trucks going to Bushman's would have to deal with that, but, I mean. That is an option.
And Bushman's over here, right?
It's farther down, right behind the power substation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I guess that's a question, but of course that say 14 and change.
For 4, if you were doing 3, I suppose you'd cut it, 25% off.
Would they?
Huh?
Would they really?
Oh, I think so. Oh, yeah, he said that's for 4, so I don't.
Yeah, and I think just that, again, we're not making any decisions here, nor am I making any single decision, but. I think any of this, we're talking expense and obviously, you and. Your team and all that, I mean, that's something that has to get addressed at some point too, is these ongoing expenses of. you know, speed bumps, whether they were effective or not, still cost money. These no data center signs or no data center traffic signs cost money. And again, the community that's paying for it is, as Cindy has said, half of the population of the workforce working on the data center, so. I get all this stuff that we talk about, whatever we decide. Need to discuss who's paying for it.
So I mentioned to Scott in the conversation this morning that today was the last day of school for college community. So that increases our activity at our parks and specifically the sports complex. Brian, is there an opportunity for a stop sign at the corner of Fairfax Road and then?
Could be. I guess that's up to you guys, but you know, you have to work on an ordinance, so whatever, yeah, it's possible.
Would that assist with safety concerns in that particular area and also slow them down?
I think it would make a difference right there through the park area, especially on Fairfax Road, but Lynch Street, you're not gonna see a difference there because there's already one on Lynch Street.
Lynch Street would be the concern on keeping traffic slow, because that's primarily where you'll see children crossing the streets. I understand.
Right.
You know, if you add a stop sign to Fairfax Road, since there's already one on Lynn, that do anything for the safety of Lynch Street?
For the
Probably not.
for the first 100 feet, because you start from
Yeah.
zero as opposed to 10 or 15 when you roll around the corner, but.
That's a good question.
Okay.
So. I guess my question would be to QTS would be, have you guys worked with small communities with doing, traffic assessments or, in the past, or even medium to large size communities? And if you have, what does that look like? You just mentioned that you were working with Cedar Rapids and the county to address some of these issues. How do they typically form a group, or who are your contact points, and who do you communicate in that process with?
So, on the front here, I'm new to the QTS environment, it's my first year, but I do know that they have a group of individuals that's their task. Their task is to work with the communities in whatever best that might be. And that's just the outreach from those communities, getting in touch, and that's part of what I'm here tonight too, is to be able to help connect those dots, those individuals. And to, I think we talked earlier about who that might be with QTS and start those conversations. So to answer your question, this is their first data center bill. They work with communities throughout the nation. It's not their own construction type projects that they have. So they have a team that's developed to be able to work with. They reach out, they touch base with the cities to be able to see kind of how they can help. They're working with halls for education. They're working with the schools in our area, and there's no reason why they can't work with the city. And that's what they're tasked with.
Yes, my question back to the council then would be, what are your thoughts on potentially putting together a committee that would be a contact point or a source of information? Because I feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions. And I think there are a lot of solutions that could be possible if that mode of communication was there. And by that, I mean, you know, having conversations with the sheriff's department, the counties, our engineers, maybe, you know, got short-term, long-term considerations with traffic, that there are experts out there that can help answer these questions, that you don't have to sit here and guess. They have the data, they have the information. I guess my suggestion would be, how do you feel about assigning, you know, like, for instance, this is just an example, but Brian, a staff member, and a council member or two to form a committee that can help get these answers in the meantime, so that this doesn't drag out from council meeting to council meeting, and develop a quicker solution. I guess that would be something that I would suggest.
To tag on that, another email I received late this afternoon was an individual from QTS, their communications person. Can you tell me again the name, Scott?
I believe her name's Ann. It was the first time I was introduced to her, so don't quote me on the name, but yes, you talked to her.
And I just had, again, late this afternoon, I only had a chance to quick glance at it, but she wants to come and visit. So that would be an ideal opportunity to invite a couple of council members, maybe a staff member and myself to meet this person and possibly build a committee connection.
I mean, I agree with that. I like that idea. I think if we're gonna start that, we need to have some consistency. Now, if it's gonna be one council person and like one staff and you or whatever. To try to make that as consistent as possible. I know people have vacations, I know people have jobs, I know people have other things. But, you know, this is gonna be, we're in year 2. We're on our downswing of something, but we still have lots, so. Looking at a slowdown in 27 of what's your anticipated timeline for Dunfield?
East Campus is looking at roughly about a year and a half afterward. So as it stands right now.
So we need some consistency in talking to whoever their people are, and I know that will change, like you said, you're jumping into this now. I think we will all be here for 2 to 4 more years. So.
So that individual reached out and had not had time to even read the email thoroughly, but I will take a look at the proposal and share that with council before the next meeting and see when that be arranged. So. Good thought, taking notice of that. Council, any other questions before we open it up to public comment?
Well,
Go ahead.
so just coming back to, when you mentioned the state patrol, like what's that conversation look like going forward? Like if we wanna have, because traffic opens up, they're speeding through town, they're potentially not gonna pay attention to stop signs. And we're passing speed buses. They work. Cause if we don't have extra hours with sheriff,
Right.
then. All right, I guess this is.
He wants to know, is state patrol gonna kick in something? Are we gonna be able to ask them to come and sit at this during these times? And what that's going to look like if the possibility.
I don't know the answer to that. I've got the contact information that when he called me. And so I can follow up on that and see.
We have the small and we have the medium, I have one.
I mean, someone's bored.
So
That's over $5.
Please.
I guess for us then. Do we want to have that pursued, that have someone?
We can, we can talk about it, we can make a decision on that.
I don't think there's a decision or a motion needs to be made to continue to work
I got to
with
figure
Lake
out
County
what it
and
is
state troopers to request extra patrols
and
to
let us know.
enforce existing traffic
Yeah,
laws.
that's just a guidance for me to follow back up and say, how did it go for your first few days of helping us and what's still on?
Can you please continue to do so for
Exactly.
all of the next week?
Yeah, hopefully it wasn't just a day or two, and yes, I can do that without a council motion. Certainly.
Okay, so then traffic on 151, so it's gonna. Continue to be bad. North of. Church Street. It's still bad in South, but. So you mentioned the next meeting, there's gonna be an approval for the traffic study, but what did we vote on the previous meeting? Can we already approve it?
You don't know the amount, what it's going to cost, so our city engineer Shane Wicks is going to come with the cost and the details of how it would work.
Alright.
He sent me a quick message, he's on his way, but he's been out of state since that meeting. But he was in the air, tried to contact me this afternoon, so he should be back in business tomorrow. And prepared for the council meeting. Next Tuesday.
So then from there. Obviously, we have an MPO that was approved. Money potential still up in the air, but we're talking 20, 30, whatever, right?
We've been approved for $3,680,000. Within a 3-year window. What will move us towards the front of the pack would be how quickly we can move forward with our project. They like to do the ones that are shovel ready first, because they know the money's gonna get spent. So any actions that we can take, such as the traffic study, we start talking land acquisitions, etc. After that, we'll show them that we're very serious and encourage them to put us in 2027 instead of 2023.
Am I incorrect, though, that the MPO being federal funds, that it takes longer because it's federal funds versus funding it locally?
All we still have to do is 20% match, so we need to have a plan for that in the meantime.
I got gold shovels already for you.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is, traffic has, I mean, this is something that needs to be addressed a lot. It's bad for the increased traffic. We don't have to get into conversations about, or maybe we should, because it's all related data center conversation, but there's things that are potentially happening toward north. That 151 is gonna continue to be heavily trafficked for a while. And if we could do something sooner than later and have potential, this is not an ask this meeting, obviously, but a potential for an offer, someone else that is adding to traffic to help pay for it, including Church in 151, 80th 151, and other improvements. I think we should write that out and make a proposal.
Yes, but we could start on the project. As soon as the traffic study is done, then we're ready to go, and that hopefully won't take longer than 2 months, but Shane will tell us.
I think the traffic study completion timeline is 2 months.
That's what Shane had said, 1 to 2 months,
I
but
just sit out count cars.
Yeah, you don't need a traffic study to know it's a Charlie Foxtrot out there.
yeah.
Hello.
Why spend money being to be spent other places in a study? All you have to do is walk.
The serious answer would be because the DOT is gonna make
They
you do it.
require it.
They're not gonna, they're not,
That.
they're not gonna come out here and just sit here on the corner one day and go, wow, this is a mess. They're gonna make you go through
Money could be spent.
their red tape and
Yeah.
hoops. If they're going to, I don't wanna say fast track it, but.
Well, that's the other thing that we've talked about for several years. Why can't we lower the speed limit
Exactly.
closer?
Correct.
It was lower.
Traffic,
Again, and you can't do that without a traffic study according to DOT.
Once,
You didn't have the traffic study to raise it.
Yeah, that's what they did the last time. They
By
were like,
cases, it needs to be lowered.
once the traffic study is completed, they said that they'll follow up potentially lower end 45.
so the traffic study is key to anything that we can do on the highway.
Well, who told you that? Cause the last time they said they take the 85th percentile, that's what they base the speed on. The only way they won't increase the speed, but they won't decrease the speed if the 85th percentile is 55 or above.
Once we have the traffic study, we'll let Sam come back and he can tell all of us when.
So, so traffic study is key. after that, hopefully that means we can get started. We don't have to have the NPO money immediately. We need the 20% match moving forward. We can possibly bond for some money. Get creative. Rosina will help us being creative with our immediate funding.
Yeah, it really adds to a lot of problems that are on a DOT highway. There's not, Brian can't just go put a stop sign out there. And Church Street, main intersection, Prairie, main intersection, we can't do anything other than what's already there without DOT. And that is really frustrating. Really frustrating. Hoping, a potential again, maybe point people. How can we push the DOT? Anything's possible. But if you don't have the conversation first, it's not going to be possible. So we need to figure out those things. How to do it. We're all aware that it is a problem everywhere. We're all aware that we are being inundated with the technological advancements that are being brought to everywhere. We have to learn how to navigate new ways. We've seen what we've hoped for has not come to fruition, so we have to keep having those conversations and have to keep our towns safe. That's the bottom line. We just not that. That's it.
Council, do you have any further discussion? Potentially, we could open up to public comment and then we can come back to additional council discussion. Your call.
I know it's not, go ahead, sorry.
Well, no, yeah, it's on.
I was gonna say, I don't need a traffic study to know we need a temporary light at a minimum on 80th and 151, but if that's the first step that needs to happen to get that in between here and whatever traffic mitigation is installed there, then that's 14,400 a month. It's worth it to me.
Okay. We'll see what the traffic study tells us. You'll need to improve it next Tuesday.
So we're talking a lot about current. What conversations, because this is related data center topics, so I'm still on topic. What conversations? What conversations have happened with potential suitors to the north about other data centers?
We're gonna put up a big sign that says not welcome. Because we all know signs work.
There was a potential developer, this has been a few months ago, that came and met with myself, fire chief, local staff, with the possibility of data centers to the north, contingent upon having a power source for them. No names were exchanged as to those possibilities. And nothing further has been heard from them.
Was there any direction given to them or
No.
not? Okay, so question to QTS.
I'm Wayne White's, but.
Well, sorry, but says, do you have any knowledge to a potential rumor that if a power plant is put up there, that QTS wants to put in 50 data centers?
FD, no, any data centers, I'm not privy to any further data centers QTS has interested in this area.
Okay,
I am not privy to that. The only one I think is one everybody knows is being discussed is the one.
Who here in the crowd knows what Dan is talking about? For those that don't know, what he's referring to is a potential data center development south of Highway 30 from 80th Street all the way to essentially Lynn Bent Road.
Where the power plant is being proposed,
Correct.
the power plant being the key to everything else.
well, additionally, I've heard west of that, so if the power plant happened west of that,
Further west.
yeah, would be, that's
In
where
Nevada County.
the 50 came from. which seems like a shockingly high number, but.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's like that
That-
to do
that
with
would be
traffic,
nuts.
fair.
Again, I don't.
Continue construction.
Oh,
Yeah, so if we have all of that out there, Bernie, I mean, traffic's gonna come south on 80. That's maybe
Maybe.
150.
Well, it's not me.
Maybe.
It will.
Yeah, that's,
Reality.
it's a surprising amount of cars that go south of Wright Brothers. Take all the gravel roads south of Swisher Blacktop out, so I don't know if they're going to Iowa City to live and come up, I don't know, but there's a surprising amount that go south of Wright Brothers.
To your point, yeah, there's gonna be people coming north.
Yep.
Going to go work there, you know, traveling through it. It's,
Yeah,
none of these roads, none of these paths were designed for this kind of traffic. We don't have the infrastructure for it. I mean, we can talk about what's underground. I mean, that's a completely different conversation. I mean, that's obviously not for either one, apologies, but but I, you know, I don't want to derail it, but I'm just curious what those conversations, because we're caught a little off guard with the amount of traffic here, and we gotta stay ahead of what that's gonna be, and don't wanna have this conversation a couple of years from now, say, whoops, we should have spoken about that on June 3rd.
To his point, if you didn't know about the data centers up there potentially, you need to sharpen your pitchforks and light your torches, that's what he's saying. And ensure that Lynn County supervisors, because a lot of that is unincorporated, that is not Cedar Rapids, that's not Fairfax. Let them know you're not interested in that in any capacity.
Good point. The reality is that we are in this situation and this infrastructure is being driven by big money. Okay. And if any of you moved here because you like your small town living, better do your darndest to help stop this if that's what we want. Because my fear, we have the development, you know, we find out people live up in Harbor Heights. We have a builder who hasn't fully built that out. And if we get surrounded by things like power plants and data centers, it's never gonna happen. I'm not opposed to progress. I'm not opposed to business. What I'm opposed to is being stolen from, being lied to, and watching my town be hurt by things that we may not have a lot of control. That's the situation that we live in at the moment. And paying attention is the biggest key. Biggest key.
So council, back to traffic specific, any further discussion before public comment is opened up? We can circle back around if you want, but I'm thinking we should open it up at this point.
I think we've gone as far as we can on the traffic thing, and we're tied by the traffic study, and we can't do anything with that next week. Hopefully, if this gets open, we might see some relief, but
And a reminder to council, anything that you think is an actionable topic, there's still time to add it as an agenda topic in next Tuesday's council. Even though we're yours past the deadline. Okay, at this time, with show of hands, tell me how many people would like to talk at this point. Looks like former Mayor Frieden is approaching the
I
podium.
am approaching, I'm very slow, that's all, and I'm wanting to go. Is Scott still here? I don't know who's Scott, he was behind me. Sorry.
I'm right behind
Oh, you're right there?
Yes. I-
Scott, this is a very technical issue.
Oh, Bernie, well, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bernie Frieden, 706 Lynn Street. You know where I live.
Well,
Okay.
everyone else may not, but we're using a timer up here.
Anyway,
Over.
I see the timer, I saw it.
You see the timer?
I won't take near that long.
Okay.
I just wanted to point out to Scott, that while this issue may seem technical, it's really not. It all comes down to respect.
If your people are not gonna respect our community, then we are not gonna respect your people, and we're gonna start putting stop signs in their way. We're gonna put speed bumps in their way. We're gonna do all kinds of things. So if you have safety meetings on Monday mornings, or if you have employee meetings on Monday mornings, you need to tell them that they need to start respecting this community, or the community will respond to them.
Period. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
And one more thing,
You're a liar.
she was talking about the DOT. The DOT sat right in this room and lied to all the city officials in this room as to what the speed limit used to be. In fact, they were too damn lazy to even take down the sign. The old sign is still right up here where it always was, where 45 started, right up the road here. It is what it is.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay.
Jennifer Kellison, 1502 Cardinal Drive. For many of us, the traffic impacts are not theoretical. They're part of our everyday lives. I travel 151 every single day for work, and I've personally witnessed numerous safety concerns, including vehicles pulling out in front of oncoming traffic, causing near misses, wait times of more than 15 minutes. I live up in Heartland Heights, turning onto 151. Construction trucks using roads marked no construction traffic, and vehicles driving around road closure signs. And I'm sure many other residents here have experienced similar situations. Given these ongoing safety concerns, I would like more clarity on the tools available to the city and how they can be actively pursued. Fairfax needs to enter into a road use agreement with QTS and Google. It would require these data centers to contribute toward road maintenance, repairs, traffic control measures, or infrastructure improvements resulting from the construction and operational traffic. So like was mentioned, a committee is a fantastic idea. In previous discussions, other potential solutions have been mentioned, including temporary traffic signals and the use of law enforcement during heavy traffic periods. Again, Fairfax needs to ask QTS and Google to help fund and subsidize these short-term management measures. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anyone else? Just speaking. Okay.
Dave Kellison, 1502 Cardinal. I'll keep this short and sweet. We're talking about sharpening pitchforks and getting torches ready, all for it. I just want to double down and say I have spoken to the Lynn County supervisors on a few occasions. The meetings are very small. We need to get as many people out as possible, show the support that we are not for the power plants, we're not for the data centers. So get out there, show your support. As many people as we can get down there and anywhere to voice your opposition, the better. And that's really all I have to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. Hi.
Dan Bushman, 600 Fairfax Road. Where do I start? Sharpening pitchforks and lighting torches. Quit saying stupid stuff. They don't take you seriously. Somebody with $100 billion does not care. Since the beginning of time, wealthy, rich, powerful people have taken what they wanted. They did it all throughout. England did it for thousands of years. If you don't like data centers, that's fine. You better pray to God they build a power plant or two, because there's people out in Arizona and out in Tahoe right now getting letters saying we're not selling you power because the data centers are taking it. So now you're going to the open market, and the supply and demand curve right now is inverted. So you're going to pay, if you're paying $100 right now for your power, in 2 to 3 years it's going to be $300. So pray to God you build some power plants, because those data centers are here. They didn't just materialize. We know they've been coming for years. You guys, there's no proactivity here. You are in a reaction curve now. Traffic, I mean, come on. What did you think was going to happen when they shut down Williams? They're all coming to town. When you open up Williams on Saturday or whatever, most of them are going to go down Williams. They don't want to come through town.
You want solutions? Drop the speed limit in town in Old Fairfax to 10 miles an hour. And then have some deputies here. They work 6 to 2, from 2 to 6, they come out here, that's 4 hours overtime, $150 an hour, 2 deputies. That's what, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 bucks a day, whatever. Get QTS up for some money, pay the sheriff's department, get the deputies out here, start pulling guys over for doing over 10 miles an hour. I mean, 90% of them have out-of-state plates. The deputies will be able to see pretty easy, you don't even need a sticker, you know, or make stickers for the residents or whatever, and have them put on their plates, on their back plates, so the deputies know they're local. That's fine. I mean, the solutions are so easy here, I just can't believe that the amount of time you guys spent talking and didn't figure anything out. I am baffled. I solve problems in 30 seconds that take people 3 weeks to 3 months sometimes, and I don't get it. But seriously, and you shut down Williams, I didn't know anything about it. And then they shut down 76 in Lethbridge, didn't tell me nothing about it. You don't apparently even have my phone number. That is astounding. It's a long drive out to my place, by the way. My accountant made it to City Hall. So hey, thanks for letting us know. You know, but y'all need to start thinking. You don't think. Like you're like, we're a small town. You like your small town, you better fight. They're here. Alliant had a contract signed for power with QTS and Google before they ever moved a stick of dirt. They're there. You knew they could let the beers thousands of dollars an acre just for first right of refusal. What do you think $7,000 an acre was for? There's money there. So why were we not proactive in figuring out what we were doing? I mean, not to throw Layton and Suffolk under the bus, but you know, if they knew what was gonna happen when Mackinnon showed up, started moving dirt, 76 should have been paved already. That bridge should have been bumped already. Infrastructure should have been took already. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy around, but I mean, we knew what was coming. So, but you don't understand it. You don't even understand or let me know when you're shutting down my road. The way you all treat me is just shameful. How you shit on me all the time. Just unbelievable. But you have no idea what you're up against. You don't even fathom the power demand. The only currency these data centers know once they're built is kilowatts. And kilowatts cost money. I'm working on the C Street power plant right now. Huge revamp over there. I'm working over on both campuses. We're helping group. I mean, the stuff that's going on over there. And nobody understands the data centers and we're gonna lose all this water. Those are closed loop cooling over there. They're like your car radiator. ADM evaporates more water into the air in a day than a data center is gonna lose in a year. And everybody's like, we're gonna lose our aquifers. Nebraska has center pivot irrigation systems all over, spraying hundreds of thousands of gallons of water per acre. And you're crying about water on a data center because nobody has any solid data. Nobody has any understanding what they are. And when the construction's done, there's gonna be maybe 10 people per data center. Because robots will change the server racks because they can go up the rack and there's no OSHA for a robot. So there will be nobody here. So thank you for paving the roads. We appreciate that because they'll be here when they're gone. You know, yeah, we've got some traffic in town. I've got some traffic in town within my place too. But once Williams opens up, and if you ever do something like that again, you might just want to talk to some people because I could tell you what was going to happen, but when it opens back up, they're all going to go up here. So change it. If you cause pain, people avoid that. And 10 miles an hour is kind of painful going through town. And so you could do that, and you could have some deputies doing some overtime, but you're gonna have to pay for it. It costs money. I mean, I know what you guys pay the county, Lake County Sheriff's Department, and it doesn't even cover the deputies' wages for what a town time costs. So, I mean, there's only so much they can do with the resources we have, so. But, hey, they're here. And there's a lot of easy solutions. And, you know, Layton's right. If you, anything you do with traffic, anything you touch over here creates pressure over there. You created pressure by shutting down Williams.
Dan, you got 15 seconds, I'm sorry.
So I don't know. I mean, I have tons of solutions. Apparently nobody has my phone number. It's pretty sad.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can I address a couple of those? So for one, Dan. Just a couple of questions. So for one, as far as communication goes, what was, when Williams was closed down, what was the communication?
When Williams closed down?
Yeah.
All the residents along Southview and Williams through 76 received letters.
That's not me. Any other questions?
Okay, so
Any other questions?
I'm good if you are.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak?
600 Fairfax Road. I'm a mom of 2 kids. I drive Church Street every single morning between 7:45 and 7:55. And every single morning between 7:49 and 7:52, the bus comes through to pick up our children. And there is one student I in particular pay attention to because she was picked up at her home. And on multiple occasions, I've seen QTS plates come through speeding around buses while they're parked, picking up children. These are our kids. And if they're doing that while the bus is picking up a kid, now school's out, guys. What are our kids gonna do? Kids are gonna be kids. They're not gonna look both ways when they're crossing the road. They're gonna go chasing out the wall or they're riding their bikes. What happens when one of them get hit by a QTS employee? Is that not a problem? Yeah, somebody all of a sudden put a little speedometer thing right down on Church Street. How does that help the speed or anything? And like somebody said that they use it as a racetrack and they get to the speed bump and slam on their brakes just to go over the speed bump, then fly across the corner. On multiple occasions, I drive through at 15 to 20 miles an hour. Why? Because I know kids live here. I'm cautious of that, because I have kids. And multiple times, I've driven that and I've been tailgated all the way down to our business. And even as I'm trying to turn left, I didn't realize I had to look at my rearview mirror before turning left into a road before almost literally T-boning the guy because he went around me. So in all, like, yes, we can slow down the speed limits and such, but that doesn't stop the QTS people from coming through, right, and speeding at 40 miles an hour. And you should check those speedometers because they're clocking them at 40 miles an hour. So I come here with not only just general safety concerns, and yes, it's annoying to go from 600 Fairfax to 151 and sit there for 15 minutes before I can even turn right to go to Highway 30. But it's mostly the kids and the families who live here, who can't walk on the side of the road because there's no sidewalk. Who I, see a woman walking down with her dog and I try to drive on the other side of the road to avoid her, to give her the space, to give her pet the space. Because that's respect for everybody here. And QTS has not given them that respect. And QTS doesn't care about our kids and the children. And again, I'm curious to see what is gonna happen this summer when school's out. I guess that's just my comment too.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? One quick follow-up to her comments. I thought about this when I drove by the sports complex. Brian, we don't have any kids that play signs in that area, do we? We're gonna have so many signs.
I think
that I don't
there
know.
is, 'cause there's a crossing.
There is on Lynn Street.
Yep.
What about Fairfax Road?
Nothing on Fairfax Road, because I don't know if there's anywhere for them to cross to the park.
Right, there's no crosswalk.
There's nothing.
There would be no reason for them to really cross, other than kids that play might indicate if their ball rolls out in the street, they might go out.
Yeah, but even on Fairfax Road, everything there is a long ways away from the street. Parking lot buffer.
Can't you see there's a park there?
Parking lots, Veterans Memorial, and that's it,
Yeah,
along Fairfax.
yeah.
And
I mean, there's a sidewalk that goes out there, but not very many people use it.
Stop. I'm talking about reasons for that to be like,
Yeah, there's no sidewalk on the north side of Lynn. There's the trails on the south.
But there is a
Yes,
crosswalk at City Park, yeah.
Cause yes, that area is a concern, especially with school out. And the speed limit there is 25, right?
Yes.
No, it was 25 then. Anyone else in attendance or anyone, I forgot to
Sure,
ask.
go ahead and come up to the. You state your name, you don't have to say address if you don't want.
Yeah. I'm Sherry Collingwood. I live at 108 Church Street. And I know we already talked about the traffic study, so I've been sitting on the porch swing watching, you know, that traffic starts at 4:10, goes to, kind of tapers down about 6:15, bumper to bumper. You know, I've been in danger of being rear-ended a couple times because I'm coming off the highway and I gotta get right in my driveway. And that's really beside the point. I mean, I've just gone up the street and then I get in line and, you know, wait to get back in my driveway. It is kind of what it is with the traffic. But back to the traffic study, I've been thinking about that. So I've lived in this at 108 Church Street since 1975. And the traffic on 151 has picked up exponentially, you know, the increase of traffic on that. So thinking about that traffic study, just wondering, can that start like, you know, maybe not out by where the greenhouse is, but just, you know, where the speed limit sign is right before you start around the curve coming down into town. Then the traffic study needs to start out there and go past 80th. So that whole area needs to be under a traffic study. And just because of the amount of traffic and semis that come through on that highway, they are coming through the town of Fairfax. I mean, right, it's marked on the highway. No, they're not coming right through town. They are coming through. And we are a town. So I'm proposing that it's really important to do that traffic study and see about getting that highway traffic slowed down. I was out just yesterday and it's really, for that 2 hours, the squealing of brakes and acceleration, the honking, I pretty much just about somebody pulled out and the semi was just barreling through, you know, and he laid on his horn and they can only, but there again, are they going 45 through there? No, they're not. I propose that we need a slowdown through our town, through there. So that's all I've got to say.
Just one quick, go ahead.
I'm gonna just address it. I think that we had discussed that, and I think if I remember correctly, we want a corridor traffic study that basically starts from over here and goes all the way over there. So the entire corridor, all of our intersections, that is from what I remember, that's what we are gonna, that's what I.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear on that, where it was going to start and because I think that's really important to get that whole section in there. Did you have a question?
No, I was just thinking that Cindy was gonna say, that's the plan, because if we did something at this intersection, it could impact your intersection at the highway and Church Street or the one up at the car wash. So we have to be sure that we look at the whole stretch.
Right.
And make sure we don't just move the problem down or up.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. The whole stretch, it needs to be from, you know, south to north. It needs to be that whole area. And like I said, I'm out there a lot. And this isn't, yes, the data center traffic is a huge concern, but the highway traffic also, all the semis that come through. Not to mention they're sneaking through town. I don't know where they're going, but they're sneaking through early in the morning and late at night, but anyhow, that's really all I have.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Is there anyone that called in that would like to speak up? There, I think Michelle Barnett had wanted to comment earlier. Michelle, you still there?
Yeah, I was just waiting, just to kind of echo what some of the other people have said. I live on Front Street and drive, I've worked out at Prairie, I have driven home Wright Brothers on Lefferts Road for years. And somebody talked about the respect that these QTS employees are lacking right now for our community. I see it every day. They don't even stop at the stop sign. I don't know what putting additional stop signs in, what good it would do, because they're not respecting that piece of equipment that is available to us. They run stop signs. They are constantly slamming on their brakes, honking horns, tailgating each other. This morning I saw a state trooper actually just happened to be coming over the viaduct and stopped a construction truck right in front of me because he rolled through something onto 151. So I think the conversation needs to be more about that respect and having some more enforcement, because until that message is sent that we're serious and that we're not going to allow this going through our town, I really don't think anything else is going to help.
Anything else, Michelle?
My 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Anyone?
Yep.
Else on the phone end that would like to speak? Or in attendance? Thank you for your comments. I'll put it back to council. Do you have any further discussion based off of these comments that you'd like to share?
Just to recap, so obviously we got a traffic study that's gonna get approved or not, so who knows? Next meeting. Williams potentially Saturday, but might be the following week, right? Yeah. You're following up with the highway patrol on coverage. Did you want to reach back out to the sheriff? What would that cost us?
Oh, as far as hiring off-duty officers?
Well, just explore the potential, I guess. I mean, if the highway patrol wants to work for tickets, then. That's fair enough. And
No
then
work for tickets, yeah, okay.
once Williams opened up, you're gonna provide feedback to say what traffic's looking like as far as are they following the right routes and.
Well, yeah, we'll take a look at it, sure. See how fast it gets turned back around.
Oh, before you do that, somebody mentioned the, speed signs that we have, we get data off that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can you pull
Mm-hmm.
and just, let's see what the speeds are going through there on an average?
Yeah, we can get that and graphs.
That would definitely be.
That'd be good to share,
Sound like
yeah.
that to me.
Are you for Tuesday?
If you can
If I
get
can get it done tomorrow morning?
So then, I guess related to the traffic study and all that, we just have once that's complete. We have a quick follow-up with the DOT on next steps. Cause if there's 100 pieces all hinging on that traffic study. And then. I guess this is. My personal ask, again, not a motion, but. If we can just get a good list of what. Everything has cost us. All the potential costs, anything in the future, so we can have that package, for the eventual committee with QTS Layton to have some serious financial conversations.
And so Brian would need to go back and look at labor, like when you make the speed bumps, how much time, materials cost, et cetera. We have hard costs on the new signs that they're putting up. But again, labor putting them up. Yeah. Do you? And on me is to follow up with the ETS communication person that just reached out today. And schedule a visit, possibly at the beginning of a committee working off of that.
Yep. And then, I guess. Scott, appreciate you being here, you know, it's not easy being a target of things, but, I guess just hopefully just hearing some of the feedback, it's something you can take back and share with them. I mean, some of the comments that people made, obviously what we've said here, that, you know, we're not thrilled, we're not happy. And there's safety considerations, there, you know, mentioned about kids and, respect, you know, people not following traffic laws, and that's been kind of the theme of what we've seen, and regardless of the bumper to bumper traffic through Old Fairfax, I mean, it's just made worse by not following laws. So just if you can take that back, and would appreciate, you know, we're talking about things here, what can we do? We don't know fully what's going on. Rosina had a perfect suggestion, form a committee, reach out and talk to other people, been through this, but also same back to your side, you know, working with other towns. I mean, QTS is global, right?
Sure.
They've worked with towns large and small, certainly one smaller than us, counties. What else can be done that we're not thinking of, that might be temporary in the short term, but also proactively in the long term, that can be done?
That's all right. I will say that, knowing, some of you know where I'm from, locally here, small town just to the east of here. My commitment and my concern for my community is equal to yours. If we were faced with this, endeavor or concerns that you have, I would be in the same position to looking for a gathering of minds where we get together to develop solutions to some of the issues that you have. Not just, like I said, for today, but for the future, because change is coming, change has come, and will continue to come. It's how you mitigate that, how you work to develop that. And so that's what I am from the city, is a forward thinking thought process as far as how we're gonna work together now and into the future.
Okay. Thank you for being here tonight, Scott. Very short notice, appreciate it.
Was there anything else on our list?
One more thing, just as this part of the subject. In July, there's gonna be a secondary teams meeting with the DOT regarding their project starting here, going to through Norway. That's supposed to be started in next spring. And last I knew, and I'll clarify all this, but it was supposed to start on the north side of the Williams intersection, which means that intersection would close again. So I gotta clarify and see about that, because we're talking about intersections and railroad crossings and everything else here in July or August regarding that project. And so I'm gonna probably put it out there and say, hey, what exactly is gonna happen? And is there something that can be like a short term, hey, can we replace this 40 feet or something, 50 feet, whatever it is, real quick, so you can open it back up again to be able to use that, if that in fact is the case? Or if they even know exactly what they're doing yet. So
There's a scheduled meeting. So that there is a scheduled meeting with the DOT.
it's a Teams thing that just showed up. Might have been yesterday, maybe, I'm not sure, but make sure that you're on the list.
I didn't get anything.
Okay, then I'll get you, but yeah, it was something they're gonna, it's like a pre-meeting type thing, and then there's another one on another date, and I can't remember if they set the date or not, but then they were gonna actually physically go out on site to all the intersections involving railroad crossings and whatnot, and talk about each one as they go, so they know how to engineer what they wanna do, what they don't. If there's something that somebody wants to close off and not have anymore, that, you know, maybe totally eliminate the intersection, that type of thing, so.
then that's something our potential committee can be involved in, definitely. I mean, I think, I don't wanna put that all under, but I would.
It's, yeah, I just participate in it so we know what's going on.
Yeah, they usually start with like a pre-construction meeting, which is everybody just talks about the overall plan.
Yeah, and this is even free to that, cause it's supposed to be engineered through this season, like October, November, December to be done with the engineering part to go out to bid over the winter to start spring. Was the last I was told.
And what's the start and end point for the DOT project, basically where Williams comes to 151 to the Norway corner?
Somewhere, one side or the other in Norway quarter is what I was told. I'm not sure if it's before it or if it goes actually through it. And then the next one would go from the Norway corner to a man. Phase 2, whatever that is.
And if that happens in April, we're gonna have a big mess.
We're going to dig a trench about 10 foot wide at 76th and Fairfax Road. For construction, that's gonna take a long time.
The whole town of Fairfax will be road closed.
I think you can dig them up.
I'll just throw it out there because that's another month.
So Brian, yeah, thanks for bringing it up and please share that.
Yeah, I'll try and stay on top
Invite
of it.
me. 'Cause-
I would.
and we'll make sure that all parties are aware of it.
Okay.
I think to that point, we're gonna have to have a solution probably this calendar year then. Ahead of that.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll find out here sooner than later exactly what they're thinking. And so that would have time to prepare for that, whatever it is. And maybe they'll have a way that we can get around that spot temporarily, one direction.
And they may be aware of some of our traffic issues, but they're not particularly aware of what we've been going through, so. You know, we have knowledge that they may not have. That, their ideas don't always.
Yeah, it wasn't, we heard both ways. There was a section there they thought it might come up to, which was on the north side of the Williams intersection. Somebody else said, no, I don't think it's gonna be quite that far. So we're going 100% clear, but I wanna find out if they know what they're gonna do, so we know.
Exactly. Okay, thanks for bringing that up. That's very important. Anything else? Good discussion, council. Again, if there's any items that you feel that, need action taken on, that could either, we have 2 meetings yet in June that are already scheduled. One is next Tuesday. And if you're not prepared to go through any motion or need more information, we do have a special meeting for some bonding information sharing, not bonding as a group, but financial bonding on the 23rd. That would be another opportunity to add agenda items. So thank you, those that have been in attendance, for your comments. Always appreciate it. And I need a motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Everyone have a good evening and stay safe out there.